Hi, good morning, everybody. Welcome back. We are on chapter 6 of The Talented Clementine, and it's getting really exciting. My name's Kelly, and I'm glad you're here to listen. And before we get started, all you need to do is take a few breaths to relax your body and get ready to hear the story so you can relax a little bit. So let's take 3 deep breaths, however you want to take them. I'm going to do balloon breaths today, so you can always join me with the balloon breaths. I'm going to just take my arms up to the sky like I'm a big balloon, and I'm going to look up at my fingertips, and I'm going to let all that air out of the balloon. I'm going to breathe in again. Oh, big balloon. And then I'm going to let all that air out. Last breath on your own. Breathe in. Hold it. Breathe out. Okay. Now your job is just to listen and see what happens to Clementine. All right, here we go. Chapter 6. My mother opened the door, and Margaret's mother handed me over. "Oh, thank you so much, Susan," my mother said, as if this was a wonderful surprise. Then she closed the door. While I was explaining, she did so many "Clementine, what were you thinkings?" that I finally stopped counting them. Then my dad came in, and she told him about it, except she couldn't finish her sentences. All 24. Condo association meeting. Glued them on. Spilled all over. Smells like beer. Somehow, my dad understood, and then I had to listen to all his "Clementines, what were you thinking too?" And besides all that, my mother said when he was done, her sneakers are ruined. "Let me have them," my dad said. "Maybe I can get those bottle caps off." "No, Dad! Dad, I need them for my act. I'm tap dancing at the talent show." Too late. My dad left, but I was in luck. A few minutes later he came back, holding my sneakers, with the bottle cap still on. "They wouldn't come off?" my mother asked. "Not in this lifetime," my father answered. "Are you saying—" my mother began. Then they stared at each other, and they both said, "Not me," at the same time. "I took her last month," said my mom. I won't do it this time," I told them. "I'll be like a normal person." My mother and father just looked at me as if I'd spoken in Martian, which I'm going to learn. Then they turned back to look at each other. I really think I should stay here," said my dad. "What if the elevator breaks again and I have to call the repair service?" "But what if somebody needs a drawing really, really fast, an emergency piece of art?" my mother tried. "No, I'd better stay home." "If you take her, I'll make dinner every night for a week," my father offered. "I'll make dinner every night for 2 weeks," said my mother, "and do the dishes." My parents always try to bribe each other into taking me shopping, which I do not think is funny. But okay, fine. I take a really, really long time in stores. My parents think I have a hard time choosing things, but that's not it. I can choose things fine. The problem is, whenever you have to choose something, that means you have to not choose about 100 other things, which is not easy. Like in the candy store. If you choose peanut butter cups, and you have to not choose red licorice and M&Ms and Starburst and bubblegum and Tootsie Rolls and gummy worms and pixie sticks, and no matter what you pick, as soon as you take the first bite, you suddenly know you wanted one of the other ones. Still, this time I could try. Today, I promised my parents, I'll be really quick. My parents just made faces that said, "We've heard that joke before." Then my mom sent me to my room to change into dry overalls. When I got back, they were still at it. "I will make dinner and I'll do the dishes for 3 weeks," said my father. "A month," said my mother. I flopped down on the couch to wait. When they got going like this, it could take a while. Finally, my father took all the money out of his wallet and he handed it all to my mother. If you take her, you could buy a pair of shoes too. My treat. My mother said, well, and I could see she was thinking about it. And then my father said, plus, I'll take you out to dinner so you can wear them. My mother grabbed me by my overalls. Oh, hold on, sorry, Mr. Page, going back. So my dad held out my money. My mother reached towards the money, then stopped. We're not talking pizza or hamburgers, right? Oh, absolutely not, promised my dad. We're talking a tablecloth and candles kind of place. It might even be the Ritz, said my mother. The Ritz is the fanciest restaurant in Boston. It is very expensive, probably because it costs a lot to make all those crackers. A deal, my dad said. My parents smiled at each other, and then they kissed. Mwah. And here's a secret thing that I never tell Margaret or Mitchell. I like it when my parents kiss, even in public. On the way down to the shoe store, whenever we slowed down a little bit, people on the sidewalk would sniff at me. They'd crinkle up their noses. It's not what you think, my mother said every time. Then she made me walk even faster, which is not easy when you have 24 bottle caps on the soles of your shoes. When we got into the store, right away, I saw a great pair of bright green sneakers in the front window. I ran in and climbed up to get them. My mother grabbed me back by my overalls. She pulled me back. That's the display window, Clementine. We need to find a salesman. And you will not believe how lucky I was, because right then I found one. He came running up behind me. May I show you something? He asked, with a really nervous look on his face. I pointed to the bright green sneakers, and my mother said, size 3.5? Wonderful, said the salesman. That's the line from our new popsicle line. It also comes in... No! My mother tried to stop him. That's fine. Please don't tell us the other. Too late. Lemon, orange, coconut, grape, blueberry, mango, and pink grapefruit. Very popular. Blueberry was the zoomiest, and pink grapefruit was the bounciest. But I didn't find that out yet, because first my mother threw up her hands and then sank into a chair. Bring them all, she said, and bring them in size 4, too. We're going to be here a long time. The salesman went away. He came back with a big stack of boxes. He opened them up and laid out all the pairs in front of me in a big sneaker rainbow. Then he sniffed. He looked at my mother as if he couldn't believe what his nose just told him. It's not what you think. My mother slumped down in her chair and sighed. Oh, heck, she said. Maybe it is what you think. I tried on all the popsicle sneakers. The salesman asked me if I really had to test out each color by running across the store, climbing onto a chair, and then jumping off. I guess he knew. I guess he was new. He must have been new. He didn't know Clementine. So here she was again. Blueberry was the zoomiest. Pink grapefruit was the bounciest. So I put one on each foot and tried them out together. It was perfect. And it looked wonderful, too. But the salesman said, I don't think so. And I didn't even care, because right then I saw the most beautiful pair of shoes in the world on a shelf near the display window. Purple with tall, skinny high heels and sparkly green dragonflies at the toes. I pointed to them. How about... And before I could finish, both the salesman and my mom said, I don't think so, at the same time. Okay, fine, I said. What other kind of shoes do you have in the store? I can't watch this, said my mother. Just make sure she chooses something sensible. She got up and she whispered that to the salesman. Then she went over to the grown-up shoes and started shopping. As soon as she was gone, I asked the salesman if he had a tattoo. Can never tell which adults are going to have one. No, said the salesman. Do you? Not yet, I said. Pretty soon. Then he left to get some more shoes for me. And you would not believe how many pairs of shoes were in that store. My feet were exhausted from all the trying on. My head hurt from all the not choosing I was thinking about. Finally, the salesman held up a pair of striped basketball sneakers. "This is it," he said. "These are the last shoes we've got." When he was lacing them up for me, I saw something amazing. "Hey, did you know that you have a circle right at the top of your head where there's no hair?" I asked him. "Yes," he said, "I'm aware of that. Thank you. Did you know that you smell like a brewery?" "Yes," I said, "I'm aware of that. Thank you. And I'll take the lime popsicle sneakers." The salesman sighed. "I know that too," he said. "They're already in the bag at the checkout." They're already at the bag at the checkout. Oh my gosh. Your mother told me you would end up picking them. Then I went up to the register where my mother was waiting. I made my mouth into a ruler line because I was so mad at her for knowing what I was going to do before I did. I was never going to speak to her again. "Want to see what I bought?" my mother said outside. I kept my mouth a ruler line, but I nodded and I opened up the bag. And then I didn't care about being mad. "Wow," I said. "Exactly," she said. "Wow." We stopped and we just stared at those purple wow shoes. The heels looked even taller and skinnier, and the dragonflies sparkled in the sun like emeralds. They were so beautiful that I was suddenly cured of being afraid of pointy things. "Not very sensible," I said. "No, definitely not very sensible," my mom agreed. "In fact, they're probably the least sensible shoes in the whole store. One of the benefits of being a grown-up." "Can I try them on?" "Sure," she said. Then she leaned over and gave me a huge smiling hug, even though I smelled like a brewery. "After you've had a bath," she said. All right, end of chapter 6. That was so great, wasn't it? That was a great one. Hit like if you liked it, and come back and stay tuned for chapter 7, more Clementine books. Okay, have a great day. Thanks for listening. I appreciate it. Bye.